Moving forward to story number two. So number two, oh, actually, we're not doing story number one because we got to go to China. So China actually is getting their 10% tariffs on basic stuff, and China's going to retaliate with 15% tariffs. How about that? On coal and liquefied natural gas, plus 10% on crude oil and automobiles set to take effect on February the 10th. It takes a few days for tariffs to actually roll into when you say them. So that's what's going to happen. We will see what happens for China's tariffs out of there. We'll also see the 30-day pause, what we'll get from the Mexicans and from the Canadians going forward to make that happen as well. Let's move on to now story number two, this headline for this one. And it reads, I already hit the button, so let's go to it. Panama. As Panama is ending ties with China's foreign investment program after pressure from the U.S. After a little bit of wandering through the South American borderlands, Marco Rubio did some talking to some countries. We'll get to another one in the teaser in a bit. But Panama has decided to end this China Belt and Road Initiative happening soon. That they are not going to renew this initiative upon agreement with the expiration in 2026. Decision follows discussions between Panamanian President Jose Raul Malino and, of course, Mark Rubio, the Secretary of Defense for the U.S. BRI launched in 2013 as a global infrastructure development strategy by China to invest in various countries and international organizations. This is why you have the talk about two ports from China on both sides of the Panama Canal and China controlling the canal. They're not controlling anything now. They have a partnership with Panama, but Panama has decided because it needs to play nice with the U.S. to end that partnership. This is another thing that China's not so happy about. So we'll see what happens if this adds on to our tariff ruck going forward, with Secretary Rubio basically getting work done right now. Well, like I said, we'll talk more about what other things that he's been talking about forward. But Panama, with this response to the U.S. concerns about being bullied, being taken advantage of, and of course China running the Panama Canal, none of those things actually quite true. But from this, we're going to end that partnership with China as of 2026, ending it when it's done and going forward. What happens forward with China? China expressed its regret with Panama, being nice to Panama, but of course saying they will do what they need to do to make sure trade goes well for them as well. Our headline for story number three. Since everybody's tossing tariffs around, everybody's doing this tariff thing and it's working, why not take a shot, says Ecuador's president, who decided to impose tariffs on Mexico because Trump did it. On the 3rd, yesterday, because Trump was successful in getting tariffs onto and pulling them off for a hold to get something out of Mexico, the president, Daniel Noboa, announced that he put a 27% tariff on Mexican imports, aiming to bolster local manufacturing and protect domestic industries for his nation of Ecuador. The move aligns with recent U.S. trade policies. President Trump, of course, similar things. Noboa emphasized that while Ecuador is open to international trade, it seeks fair agreements that do not advance its economy. So, in contrast, the United States had a bigger stick to kind of play what's going on with its tariffs on Mexico because it's a bigger deal. It also had bigger stakes to blow up if something went wrong. Ecuador is miring those decisions, kind of making it look like they're doing the same thing. And they may actually have a better point because their domestic production actually makes a difference. They don't get as much from the international trade as we do going back and forth because we trade enough bigger things for folks. Also, one reason why we trade so much with the folks is to make them happy and keep them on our side. Ecuador don't have that going for them. They actually need to have more stuff built in Ecuador and more trade from stuff going out to make the money. So we will see what's going on. Between Ecuador and Mexico, there's basically not much trade. About 1% of Mexico's total exports is going into Ecuador anyway. So does it make a difference? We will see. And for story number 4 today, Trump signs an order establishing the first ever U.S. sovereign wealth fund. Now, what does this mean? It's a little complicated, so bear with me for this one. He signed this on yesterday, another executive order. He's signing handfuls every day. So every single day he signs executive orders that have to be followed. This first ever United States sovereign wealth fund, and the fund aims to generate wealth for American citizens by investing various assets, including real estate and businesses. So essentially, it's not Social Security, but it's taking money and putting into various assets like a stock fund to see if they can make money for the United States. This should be operational in the next 12 months. Trump suggested that the newly established sovereign wealth fund could be utilized to acquire stake in social media platforms like TikTok, buy shares of it. The proposal aligns with ongoing discussions about TikTok's operation in the U.S. Somebody has to buy it. So why can't the United States have a big fund, a big wealth fund, a big chunk of money to throw at large investments? The executive order directs the Secretary of Treasury and Secretary of Commerce to develop a plan within 90 days, detailing funding mechanisms, investment strategies, and governments and structures. Potentially funding sources, including monetizing federal assets and using tariff revenues, because tariffs are there and federal assets can be monetized, selling off stuff to make it happen. Treasury Secretary Scott Bennett and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, the nominee for that, will oversee this going forward. State-owned investment entities commonly found in many countries with budget surpluses because you have the money to do that. We don't have a surplus, we have a deficit, so we have to work on that. And plus, we can't quite fund the government, i.e., all these shutdown notices. So, will it work? Maybe. Can it make it happen? Sure, they can make it happen, but will it work? Maybe. We shall see if the president and the United States and all of us will now own a piece of TikTok or Ford Motor Company or Starbucks or Smuckers or whoever we want to buy in a fund going forward. I want to take a moment to ask for you guys to help us out. Now, if you're watching this video, you noticed that the first story was very, very quiet. We're working on some things. We're adding some more tech. You can see the look is a little different. We're trying to add some more things, and we're trying to test some things and make it more streamlined and get things going back and forth for you. In the meantime, while we're doing these things, we need your help to make sure more people are joining in so we can play more stuff and mess things up. Despite the fact you didn't hear the first 5-6 minutes of show, we're asking you that you're here now to like the show you're watching and other things going on. Other things might be easier to like, share, and subscribe to the work that you're seeing so that we can see what's going well. I can see what things I'm doing good at and what good things I'm not doing good at. Also, you can tell the algorithms what's good for us and good for people. So what's good for them? The algorithm will show it to more folks and get more people in the queue. Now, we also ask you to share it with people who are like-minded, people that you know like this type of stuff. So share it with other folks who like this type of stuff, and they will hopefully like it as well and share it with other folks going forward. This will grow our queue. This will grow our people in the know. This will grow our news nerd nation, if you will. And if you're not subscribed to us already, why aren't you? Go ahead and do it. That way, as we go live or we go with the recorded things, you can see us in your feeds, Facebook, X, Threads, TikTok, YouTube, wherever we're at, we have something live there. You can get it to directly to us, especially if you're listening to us on audio for YouTube or audio for regular podcasts. You have to subscribe and make sure it comes into your feed, into your podcatcher automatically. So check that out. Like, share, and subscribe so we have more people growing and learning and just being cordial. Let's move on to our next headline, back into the news, and go to story number 5. And this is USAID, where yesterday, and this story is developing, hour by hour. So this actual recap is probably old by the time you hear it. The USAID staff has been barred from headquarters after Musk claims Trump agreed to close it. Donald Trump did say a lot of things about USAID specifically, but before he got a chance to say that, the Doge people came into USAID. First, they tried to walk in and they were held back security. Then everybody was told, go home, we're shutting you down. And the Doge went in to try to get a hold of what's going on at USAID. Now, essentially, it's the same old story. They're corrupt, they're bad, they waste money, all these things like that. But to keep Doge away or keep Doge from not being away, Donald Trump just decided to shut down the whole thing. So the whole building is locked out for people and their computer systems, and they're just told to work remotely while they're doing whatever. So people have gone in to gather some things. They're assuming they're going to shut the whole thing down. If you're worried about, bringing people back to work and all these empty buildings, here's some empty buildings about to be emptier because the government's shutting it down as a way to save money, as a way to get rid of waste. Now, there have been some changes going forward. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is now in charge of the company, in charge of the group, because he basically says they've not been listening to what the president say, and this president particularly say. They're not following the orders of the Department of the State. They are doing what they can to just keep on doing what they're going to do. It is what it is. So Marco Rubio, along with going around and talking to nations and getting things done, is going to take over USAID and whatever aid programs they're going to produce. It's an ugly thing. It's a crazy thing. It's not a good look thing, but it is what's going to happen. Criticism, of course, moved to dismantle this group as part of significant backlash from Democratic lawmakers who argue that these actions undermine U.S. foreign policy and humanitarian efforts. Nobody's around to actually figure out how to dole the money out to for parties and just manage it. Who's going to do it? Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, and Elon Musk, apparently. We're going to see what happens as the waste, fraud, and abuse that people are calling USAID is going to be under scrutiny by the Deutsche people for their actual look to see what is actually waste, fraud, and abuse. USAID actually manages about $43 billion in aid over 130 countries annually. So that's what they actually are working with. In the grand scheme of things, not the greatest, largest, most garbage-ish batch of money, but it is there. It is something that's covered. So we'll see how this thing plays out in the future, very near future for USA, which may not last very much longer. So yesterday, and I think the prior time, we agreed we're spending way too much time with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. And the judges actually agree. And actually, the federal judge in their case actually put a little bit of a spin on the work for these people and their lawyers specifically, as he issued some, let's say, motivation to stay out of the tabloids and stay out of the muck and stay out of entertainment pieces, because a hearing at district court at a recent hearing, U.S. District Judge Louis Lindman admonished the legal teams for Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, told them to refrain from making public statements that which can influence potential jurors, and if they don't, he might move up the court proceedings to like tomorrow, because they're just yakking back and forth and using the court of public opinion to try to sway people. It's going to essentially have a hard time getting a jury pool if everybody knows this story going back and forth and people have picked sides. We will see what's happening. What's noticeable about this is both Lively and Baldoni not here at this hearing because they've got other things to do. But the conflicts go back and forth between a $250 million lawsuit this way and a $40 million lawsuit this way, and another one going this way, going back and forth, that ensnarls both Lively and Baldoni, plus Ryan Reynolds and Lively's publicist assistant, someone works like that one. And the big deal is way too much pre-trial publicity. If everybody knows this thing, everybody's going to make this the trial of the century, whether it should be or not, and everyone's going to be biased towards whoever they like the best. It is what it is. That really is what Johnny Depp and Amber Heard was. People like Johnny Depp a lot more, even though he is kind of a scumbag. People really hate Amber Heard because she really is a scumbag, and Judge Lindemann doesn't want any of that going forward for this case. It's currently set up for March 2026, so we have a year until this thing will actually go to court. But do you want to pull this thing a little further, a little closer? Keep yakking, lawyers. Keep lacking Baldoni. Keep yakking Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. We may move this thing up to make it go faster so we can get it done quicker. Major League Baseball upholds the firing of an umpire, Mr. Pat Hoberg, after gambling violations and his denial of the actions. This happened as of yesterday. The MLB, Major League Baseball, announced the termination of umpire Pat Hoberg for violating league gambling policies. The investigation revealed that Hoberg actually shared legal sports betting accounts with a professional poker player who placed bets on baseball games. He didn't necessarily bet, but he shared the account with other folks, and he bet on them for himself, the player, not himself, the umpire. So says Hoberg. Although there is no evidence that he actually bet himself on baseball influence games, because the actions are deemed a compromise, letting somebody else work around in your actual accounts, it looked bad. From that, he was fired. The investigation began in February and last February after a sportsbook alerted MLB to the betting account opened by Holberg's name. It's a account in his name. He never bet on baseball. He never bet anything he did, but because of things going back and forth, wagers in excess of $700,000, it looked bad. With that, MLB said, it looks bad. You're out of here. Walk, take it to showers. You're done. Hoberg became a full-time baseball umpire in 2017, and he's known for being accurate in calling his balls and strikes. He's actually a very good umpire. But the fact that this thing happened here, the bad look is the bad look. Major League Umpire Association recognized the findings and Hoberg's acceptance of responsibility. They emphasized his dedication to upholding the game's integrity and noted that while Hoberg did not bet on baseball, his actions fell short of the high standards expected of MLB's umpires. So this one is now officially done, and it's all done for this umpire. This ump has been thrown from the game. And finally, UnitedHealthcare is going to pay $2.5 million settlement to 12,000 customers. This is a big deal for United Healthcare because you may notice we're having issues with the healthcare systems, and you may notice that people are getting really angry about it to the point of shooting people, which is always bad. However, because of bad treatment to customers, bad treatment to people going forward, and more or less flat out proof that United Healthcare is denying claims of people who really, really need those claims. They're going to settle. They're going to dole out about $2.5 million over time to about 12,000 customers, which is, let's just call it a start. Let's call it a day for the actual news stories and all the foibles we're having so far. Right now, we're going to go to our teaser story. A teaser story, this is our transition from the active news, 8 stories that we picked to be conversational in the feeds today, and how we tell you the stories get there. This story here that we have right there, you're seeing on the screen, if you're watching the video, is a story we're posting. And we actually posted it. It actually went live basically right as we went to record this in the morning. So it's there all day for you now. And this is one of many stories. Every 50 minutes or so, we post via our feeds to you to engage in. We just need you to like, love, hate, share, engage in the story, literally engage in the stories on Facebook and on x.com/this is the conversation project. I'm sorry, x.com/th_conversation and facebook.com/this is the conversation project. And every 50 minutes, we post news articles from various sources. You just engage in it as the story you may like, or the actual source you may like, or vice versa. You may hate the source and the story and want to rage talk about it going forward. Today, we talked about Marco Rubio getting stuff done. He's taken over USAID and will take care of, all the funding for the charities we're doing around the world. He went down to Panama and got rid of China, sort of. He also had a talk with El Salvador, and they have agreed to house deportees that we're sending out of the United States, including folks that are Americans. Now, there's a lot of people who are up in arms about this one because human rights, and a lot of people up in arms because they're not doing it out of the kindness of the hearts. They're getting paid to do that. So instead of building private prisons here in the States, we're going to ship them to El Salvador and pay them to watch them. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? It is a thing. So are we talking about it? You let us know. Go to our feeds on Facebook and X, and as you see the story or other stories in the feeds, engage in those stories. The ones you engage in the most, the ones we have a better chance of talking about. We did not talk about the asteroid hitting the Earth in 2032, although I figured that would be one that we really get into. Didn't really rank very much, didn't pay any attention to it, didn't really stand out at all. So that one's on the chopping block. That one didn't make it cut. But El Salvador housing our deportees, including Americans, which gets really, really scary really, really fast. Is this a topic we need to talk about tomorrow? You let me know by engaging in the story today, and we'll take care of it tomorrow. Yeah, that sounds about right. We'll take care of it tomorrow. Now, our spotlight sponsor for today is Blinkist. The Blinkist app is the best way for you to get learning in very quickly because books are awesome. Books are great. Books is where you hide knowledge. If you want to hide something, you put it in a book and people have nothing finding it. But this makes it easy to find those things, hidden gems in those hidden books, by making books easier to read, faster to read, easier to access the information from them. Blinkist takes long form books, nonfiction and history books, and turns them into blinks, the essence of the actual stories, the essence of the work going on, the big part picture issues up there. And you can take a book that's usually take maybe 3 to 4 hours to read, and in 15 minutes get the key ideas from those books. It's that simple. And the coolest thing about Blinkist is you can share your quick love of learning with other people using Blinkist Spaces. You put a book in a space, and people don't have to actually have the app, just you. They can access it via their subscription. They can access it. They can listen to it. They can read the blinks however you want to, and you can share your knowledge back and forth. These are readable. You can read them. They're also listenable. You can listen to them in just like audiobook form or regular ebook form, and they take care of hundreds of books, thousands of books, with more books being added every day. Around 6,500 books, more or less there. And like I said, more books added every day. Many of them can be read in 15 minutes. Use our link, our affiliate link, to help us get a little bit out of this one. This is theconversationproject.com/Blinkist. This is theconversationproject.com/Blinkist. So we get a small cut, very tiny cut, when you actually use the app and you install it and you pay your subscription. It's a great app. I use it frequently. I use it every day. Actually, I use it to listen to a book going to bed and listen to a book on the way to work, and in between how things go. If I have a good 15-20 minutes and I don't want to listen to a long form audiobook, I'll throw in a Blinkist book that's on the list and go from there. So check it out. You want to talk more books and more Blinkist, just email me when we talk about that. But the Blinkist app is the best way to get your knowledge in quickly. Check it out at thisisaconversationproject.com/Blinkist. We're going to talk about the Conversation Project quickly. The Conversation Project lives online at thisisaconversationproject.com. And we ask you a lot of calls to action at this point, but we're going to keep it simple on this time right here. We just need you to follow us on our feeds. Follow us on Facebook and X and engage with us via email so we get more people in the queue. On the next couple of weeks, days specifically, the next couple of weeks, we'll be working out the kinks of some new gear we're putting in there. So it's going to look a little odd, little wonky, little weird. Make sure you stick with us as we do these things because we're trying to tweak it as best as possible. But make sure you're doing the easy part, the free part, if you will, by just engaging with us and helping us get the stories for these things. Because if we get more good stories, we can write more better scripts for these things and have more people like, share, and subscribe to get more people in here. We ask for less money if we can get more corporate level sponsors, if you will. Remember, all of our sponsors, all of our links for affiliates are affiliate links. They all are sponsors based off you buying something. So that's how we are. But if we get a little bit bigger, a little bit better, we may get a brand deal, may get some sponsorship. Maybe I'll have some sort of soda pop right here or something like that. We will be able to do more and do greater things. So if you want to do greater things, there's that. There's also the partnership page if you want to fund us directly. So there's that as well. But you can check us out as best as possible using our website. This is theconversationproject.com. With that, we're wrapped for the Tuesday, the 4th of February, 2025. It's hard to believe it's 4th of February already, but it is. It's the 4th of February. We are 2 months in, and with 10 more to go, 10-ish, 11-ish to go, and a lot to go forward. And as we say often, a whole lot of administration to get through. Whether you're pro or against, we got a lot of Trump to get through for 4 years. So stay limber, stay hydrated, stay on task, because keep your head in the swivel. There's a lot happening all day long. Things change back and forth. We opened up yesterday saying tariffs are here, and then we closed saying, well, tariffs are here for China. The other guys, we're going to push them back for 30 days. If you want the best news updates going forward, make sure you check out one of our other sponsors, Ground News. Go to thisisaconversationproject.com/Ground News to get the full details on news stories. And if you use their app, we get a small commission, and you get 40% off the Vantage plan right now to get the best news coverage because it covers everything from all perspectives. In the meantime, stick around with us. We'll tell you how things are going, give you some details going on, and keep you moving. If this is your main source of news, well, then God bless you. But if it's a good supplement, which is what we want to do to make conversational things conversational, glad to have you along. Once again, thank you so much for joining us for today. Pardon the glitches. We're just going to have a few for the next couple of days. But we'll see you again with something, hopefully with sound, for Wednesday morning.